Hetepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Qesankh Haru with another exciting video for you. In this video, I want to talk about how civilization began. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications of when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. So let's get right into this exciting topic, how civilization began. But for us to really understand that, we have to first understand the brain and how it operates. Now, you see, in modern civilization, the emphasis is placed on everything external. You know, your physical attributes, how well you do at sports, on rote memorization at universities, concrete thinking. We don't prize people on their intellectual prowessness. Yes, we do have those people who are the outliers, like your Nikola Tesla, your Einstein, your Imhotep. But we have to understand on a much deeper level that this society needs to start focusing on its spiritual development. Yes, we have a great technological wizardry of the Western world, but everything is in shambles. You know, pharmaceutical companies are taking advantage of people. You know, the police department is committing, you know, police brutality, things of that nature. Politicians have run amok. So, but to look at really what is a civilized society, we have to go back to our ancient history in antiquity with the development of civilizations like Atlantis, like ancient Kemet or Egypt in Northeast Africa. You see, they were a dual or holistic brain society, meaning that they used both the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important to understand how each side of the brain functions. The left hemisphere of the brain is linear. It's responsible for separating, labeling, defining things. It uses language as its mode of communication. It's very concrete thinking. The right hemisphere of the brain thinks abstractly. It is the seat of the emotions, where we get morality from. It thinks nonlinear. So with that understanding, we can associate it to different people. We know that white people are more left brain. People of color on the planet, which are predominantly the makes up the world's masses, are predominantly right side of the brain thinkers. Likewise, also, men are more left brain and women are more right brain. And this is where you get the idea that women are emotional. That's because they operate out the right hemisphere of the brain. The right hemisphere of the brain is also the seat of morality. But let's take this deeper. You see, even though, as I said prior, that we have all this technological wizardry, we have a society where literally criminals are running our world. And the reason being is because we have failed to develop the higher aspects of the brain. You see, we think the brain as just one organism, but it's really made up of different facets. And these facets all operate in unison as one. For example, the oldest and most primitive aspects to the brain are the reptilian and the mammalian brain. The mammalian brain is responsible for emotions, emoting. The reptilian brain is responsible for things like language in a way, physicality, how we communicate on a physical level. It also thinks in terms of hierarchy, in terms of power. Now, with that, we have another two aspects, which is the neocortex and the prefrontal lobe. The neocortex is how you learn. It is responsible for creating the technological wizardry we see around us. But the problem with the neocortex, even though science really hails it as what brought modern civilization into being, is that it is at the whim of the reptilian and the mammalian brain, meaning that those emotional aspects to the brain and the dominance for power control the neocortex. So therefore, you may have the ability to learn in terms of technology and education, but there's no morality and there's no will to discipline you and guide you in the right direction. For this, we have to turn to the prefrontal lobe, which is the seat of the will. So when you're going to, for example, spiritually uplift yourself, so you don't succumb to temptations or wayward and backwards thinking, that's the prefrontal lobe. It keeps the mammalian and reptilian brains in check. And it's also abstract thinking. And abstract thinking is where we get holistic thinking, an understanding of God, morality, the universe, and how you fit into that. And that is what brings civilization into being. Most historians and Egyptologists will agree that ancient Kemet was a civilization that lasted for more than 10,000 years and was one of the most morally upright civilizations. And we can see this in how they treated the women. Women were given equal rights to men, and they were co-rulers with the pharaoh. And additionally, along with that, we have to keep in mind that because ancient Kemet was right brain thinkers or holistic thinkers, they were using both the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, which while Western society really relies just on the left side of the brain, concrete thinking linearly. So they can't actually understand God. They place God outside of themselves because what the left hemisphere of the brain is good at is separating, label, and defining. Whereas the right hemisphere of the brain, connected to the prefrontal lobe, is looking for the connectiveness that you have to the universe and God. All are one. This is the basis of what we call civilizations. In the civilization, you don't have racism, you don't have police brutality, you don't have corrupt politicians, because the prefrontal lobe controls the mammalian and reptilian brain, and not vice versa, as with the neocortex. So you understand that back in antiquity, our ancestors focused on developing the prefrontal lobe to raise the civilization to a higher spiritual level, whereas Western civilization just wanted to focus on the neocortex. Therefore, they were controlled by their emotions and their sense of power and structure from the reptilian brain. So I hope this gives you an understanding of what a true civilization is about and what we as a people need to go back and cultivate, which is that prefrontal lobe. Because right now, we have allowed the reptilian and mammalian brain to dictate our actions, and the neocortex cannot put them in check. I want to thank you. I'm Qesankh Ma'at, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, Amun Ra.